Hey everyone, Mr. Wemp again. In our last video, we learned about the line types, and you can see up on upper left-hand corner, that's the drawing that we had from before with our line types. So we're actually going to recreate this same drawing using paper and pencil this time instead of an artificial screen, so you can actually see what it looks like. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay out our first type of line, and these are your construction lines. Okay, and the basic shape of this block is that it comes down, comes over, down, and you've got this kind of upside down T shape. Okay, notice that these lines aren't very dark, they're not super smooth, they're not real perfect. This one's angled a little bit, so I want to get it back out where it goes, and we happen to have grid paper, so that's even better. Okay, so these are our construction lines. And if you look up at the top left corner, you can see that the object itself kind of comes to here. So we've got a couple of marks here, and we know that there's a fillet right there, there's a fillet right there, there's a fillet right there, and there's a fillet right there. Okay, so a fillet is a rounded or filled in corner. We'll get to that later. Okay, oops, made a little mark on the paper. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and split this down the middle, just to make life a little bit easier for drawing. That's not going to have anything to do with anything else. Okay, so from this point, then we're going to kind of round it, because we know the top is somewhat rounded. And then we're going to kind of do the same thing over here. Now that, understandably, this is not a perfect drawing, but it'll get better as we add our object lines. Okay, so far we've got this thing filled with construction lines. We've pretty much laid everything out where we need it. We know that there's a circle here that we're going to need for later. So everything's all laid out. That's what construction lines are for. With my same pencil, now I'm going to go in and I'm going to start filling in all of these corners and edges with dark, heavy lines. And you'll notice that these lines, they really stand out from all the other lines. Okay, these are what we called object lines. Okay, these represented the actual object that we're drawing. Okay, so all of these object lines get filled back in, nice and dark, over the top of the construction lines. Okay, so we fill that one in, we fill that one in, fill that one in, we go over the top of this guy, and we come across our bottom. Okay, so these are nice heavy lines. So I'm waiting till the very end to do this so that I have a high quality drawing. So we've got this piece, and now we need to mark out our center. So we've got this center piece drawn, and I know that this circle needs to be split. So we're going to use a center line to split the circle into side 1 and side 2. So the center line starts out as a little mark, and then it extends out past the circle. And then because it's a circle, we not only have side 1 and side 2, but we also have the top and the bottom need to be split. So we'll go ahead and split that line right there, and then extend that out past the circle. So now we've got our circle split up into its centers. Okay. We also have, let's see, what do we have here? We've got a cut line, and this is something that we'll talk about later, but that line right there basically represents, if we took this piece, looking at it from the top, and so here's the center, and we know that it kind of looks like that and like that. This is our top view. Oops, that's a V, not a W. From our top, if we took it and literally just cut out part of it right here, this part right here is what's represented here. So this is going to be inside of some stuff, and we'll get back to that in a minute. Okay, so if you look up on your piece, you can see that our top view has 2 holes drilled in it from the top, and if we're going down from the top, and this is our side view, If this is our side view, that means that we're going to have this hole here. And notice that these are solid lines, and we're going to fill them in and make these object lines because we can see this hole. This hole over here, though, it's in the middle right here, and there's material in front of it. The hole is there, but you can't see it. So anytime something is there, but you can't see it, what kind of line do you use? Whoops, pencil's getting away on me. So what kind of line do you use? You use a hidden line. And a hidden line is a dashed line. So we're going to mark out, using construction lines, where that hole is going to be. Okay. Then we're going to fill in over the top using our dashed lines. Okay, so these dashed lines represent something that is there, but we can't see it. Okay, if it's there but you can't see it, it's got hidden lines. So we'll take our circle up here. Okay, that circle, if we drop it straight down, we just kind of mark off where that would be. We know that circle goes here and it cuts through here. So if we took our drill bit, we drilled right through the piece like that, or right through the piece like that, we're going to have some pieces that we can't see. Now, it doesn't make any sense to drill from the front and say that you can't see it. Well, this piece was actually drilled from the back side, so it was drilling up towards you, and it didn't go all the way through. So if it didn't go all the way through, we know that the parts here we can't see, but there's a hole there, so we know there's a hole there, hidden lines. This part right here, though, we cut in far enough that we can see it. So we're going to fill that in with an object line. Okay? Now these two are holes, so they're even on both sides. They need center lines. So we'll do our center line there, and extend up, and extend down. We'll do our center line there, and extend up, and extend down. Okay, so now we've got our center lines there. And now the last thing to make it look like the drawing over there is another line type that we don't really talk about, other than this is inside the part, and so anytime you can see an inside material, it's like if you cut a steak open, you'd see the meat in there. Anytime you can see that, you use what's called a hatch line. So we're going to go ahead and throw these on there. They don't have to be real pretty, but they do want to stay inside the lines. And so by putting these there, that represents that it's inside the part. Okay, so there's your completed, I don't know what this is. I guess we'll call it a bracket. Just because that sounds cool. There's your completed bracket. You can see all your different line types. You have object lines, construction lines to build it, center lines to represent circles, and we also have hidden lines to represent things we can't see. I also tossed in there a different view, which we'll get a little bit later, but you can see there's a side view and a top view. So keep that in mind, because later on we're going to talk about those. Okay, so this has been line types, and we'll see you next time.